Hi there. Today I'm going to do the first oil change on my 2019 Honda Passport here. The first oil change for this car at the 3,000 mile mark, although I've changed many oils before on other cars. This video is not really on how to change oil per se. I'm assuming if you're watching this you probably already know how to change oil. But there's a couple little things I learned. The first few weeks I had this car, I crawled around underneath it, tried to figure out where all the parts and pieces were and how to make life easier changing this oil. And I think I found a couple things that might help you out. So that's really all this video is just a couple things to show you to help you out. So, but first of all, of course, we will need the usual oil change tools. Rolled paper towels is handy. Some sort of empty plastic bag. It might be a Ziploc quart bag, maybe. Might be a empty bread bag. This happens to be a produce bag from one of my local stores. That's going to come in really handy when we change the filter here in a little bit. More to come on that. I'm using a Fram Extra Guard 7317. Of course, you can use whatever brand you like. Oil drain pan, filter wrench, Phillips screwdriver. Not normally an item you need for an oil change, but there's one thing I need this screwdriver for that is one of those little helpful hint things. So we'll come back to that. And a 17 millimeter wrench for the drain plug. So let me grab a couple things here and let's wander down underneath this car. So the next thing you'll notice is that I have the wheel cranked all the way to the right. Originally, I thought I was going to have to jack this car up because the oil filter is right behind that wheel, and it's a bear to get to. But if you just shut the car down and crank that wheel all the way to the right, that will make your life much easier, and then you don't need to jack the car or remove the wheel, which I thought was my other option, which thank goodness I don't have to do that either. So just crank it out and you're good. And then probably before you actually start the oil change, you might want to pull the dipstick out there, big red dipstick. That'll help the oil drain a little bit faster, so you could do that as well. So now let's dive underneath here and let me show you a couple things that I've discovered. So what Honda did, well, first of all, let's find the oil drain plug. So I'm kind of, obviously there's the tire. I'm right in front of the tire. And if you just kind of reach in diagonally, you will see the exhaust, some exhaust manifold piping down here. And then right in front of that, you will see the oil drain pan. And you will see it says right there, engine oil, with that arrow pointing right to that bolt. That's your 17 millimeter drain bolt. So put the pan underneath there and remove that bolt, and that's how you get the oil out of the engine. That's the easy part. The more complicated part is the cotton picking oil filter right there. So unfortunately, Honda did two things that didn't make this job very easy. First of all, they put a splash guard here. And you can see that that splash guard really interferes with getting to this oil filter with any kind of ease. So I've got a cure for that. That's coming. And the next thing they did is they put the filter really close to that cross member frame piece, that black frame piece right underneath, which doesn't give you a lot of room to get an oil filter wrench underneath there. So that's kind of a pain in the neck. You'll also notice that the oil filter will drain after you remove the actual filter, that you'll get a bunch of drip oil on that cross piece. And if you're OCD and weird and anal like me, I don't want a bunch of oil all over that. So that's where the plastic bag comes in. So first things first, let's deal with this splash guard. So the splash guard's pretty flimsy. And you'll notice that what secures the splash guard into place, can you see these little plastic button little snaps that hold it in place. So what I've done down lower here is I've removed three of them actually. So if you get right underneath, so see where I'm at, there's one underneath here that I've removed. And then if you come up the splash guard, and you'll notice that there are two more right there that have been removed. You can see where the holes, where that snap in. Now those are kind of a bear to get apart because you need to get a flathead screwdriver in there, and it takes a little bit of prying, maybe a pair of pliers or something. Eventually they'll pop out. And I don't want to fight with those things every time I do an oil change. So, but I also don't want this splash guard flapping around either. So you'll notice what I've done, matter of fact you can see it there, is I've reattached the splash guard. It's so good that they don't like to come off, with some really heavy duty Velcro, not the fabric hook and loop, but the really nice heavy duty plastic. So you can see, sorry, I'm trying to do this one-handed, crawling around underneath the car here. So you can see that I've got this Velcro in a couple places to hold this in so it doesn't flap around while I'm driving. So I've got two up top here, and then one underneath here. Once you get those button clips removed and the Velcro underneath to attach it later, the last thing you'll need, which is where the Phillips screwdriver comes in, is you're going to need to get rid of this screw that's right there that screws these two plastic pieces together. Now I've already got it started, so now I can undo the screw here, set it aside. Now with the screw gone and the clip missing, now I can, let me get out here a little bit, you can see that you can now fold back. You got to kind of get the splash guard out from underneath this piece right there. And now I can just fold back the splash guard, and now the oil filter itself is really easy to get out. Instead of having the splash guard right up against it, as you can see, I've pulled it back out of the way. And now I've got the oil filter easily accessible. And you can kind of just hold the splash guard with your hand as you remove that. So now once this is out and you get that oil filter loosened with the wrench, and that's where the plastic bag comes in. So now what you want to do is, to finish removing that by hand, is slip that empty plastic bag over that filter and unscrew it the rest of the way. That will catch any oil that drips out, and it will also help you keep a hold of the filter, and it'll drop into the bag instead of dropping on the ground. And then if you really want to keep this cross member piece clean before you even remove that filters, you can get old towel that you want to throw away or some paper towels and put across that so any drips will be caught by the towel and not drip on that cross piece there. And that's basically it. Once you obviously get the new oil in, well, actually, let's put the drain plug and new crush washer in first, and then screw on, put a layer of little film of oil over the oil filter gasket, and then get the oil filter in place. Once you get the drain plug and oil filter in, you can then reattach the splash guard with the Velcro, put the screw back in that goes underneath in the back here, put that Phillips screw in, and then put in your 5.6 something quarts of oil, and you should be good to go. But the biggest headache is that stupid filter and the splash guard. So I hope that makes sense. Like I said, the trickiest prep is to remove those little clips out of there permanently and affix that Velcro in the back. Once you get that done, the oil change on this vehicle will be super quick from that point forward. So I think that's it. Just be careful when you're changing your own oil. Make sure you get all the steps done. Make sure you get all the plugs back in, the oil filter on, oil added, etc. Like I said, I'm assuming if you're watching this, you've changed oil before. So anyway, I hope that helps, and thanks for watching.